going through my PhD, which was also at McMaster at the Biochemistry Biomedical Sciences department, I found out that I was enjoying a lot more of the writing aspect of my thesis as opposed to the research or the other aspects of my thesis. So I started out by writing a blog called Microbe Musings, which is still running. And there I wrote a number of blog articles about microbiology and just how important all the latest research was to ensure our human health and our environment. Over that same time period, I also became an advocate for cystic fibrosis patients by advocating for the entry of a drug called Trikafta into Canada. Basically, the drug is supposed to treat the original cause of cystic fibrosis, which is a mutation to a protein called a cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator. So combining those experiences together, that got me thinking, well, I wanted to become a science writer full-time. How could I make this possible? So I shadowed a microbiome science writer based in Canada named Christina Campbell. And then from there, I also worked as a science writer for an agency based in the States. And then over that time period, I thought to myself, well, why not I start my own business? And so last fall, I withdrew from my PhD and then started this journey to begin a company called GenoWrite. So a lot of the admin work I did, what happened at the early stages. So I had to first register my company name, which is called GenoWrite, and I had to register it with the province where I reside, which is analogous to a state in other countries. And I also had to report my income for the year on my own. So usually when you're employed, the employees will deduct the taxes from your pay or something similar. But as a freelancer and someone running my own company, I had to report my own taxes. So right now I am a sole proprietorship, which meant that I just had to file my personal taxes and just report the amount of revenues and expenses I was having and then deduct my business expenses. But should I choose to incorporate, I would then have to create two separate entities, like create GenoWrite as a business entity to report taxes with, and then also report my own personal income after that. So that was the financial side of the administrative process. But I also had to think about other aspects like contracts, for example. So what would be the terms of the contracts that I would work with, as well as maybe other stuff like what would the composition of my company be, what kinds of work I would look for, making sure that I had to write a template as well to make sure that people would understand what kinds of things they were looking for in the assignment, to help me understand what they're looking for too, so I could write the assignment. So, and I also had to track a lot of emails in case someone contacted me about being a client or potentially writing for me as well, for example. So that's just a snapshot of the administrative process from my end. This would vary between countries, but the general process should be fairly similar. The front end of the work, which was like all the setting up of the site, the setting up the invoice system, setting up taxes, all of that took a lot of work. I'd say would be equivalent to a half-time job for a couple weeks just to get everything up and running. Like I had to make sure that website architecture was working. I had to make sure I know enough coding to host my site. I also had to set up my emails, set up the systems for getting in touch with clients and making sure I knew what they wanted. So that took a lot of work at the start, but once I settled that and started getting into the groove of things, it didn't take nearly as long. But even then, I think I would still spend 5 hours a week on administrative stuff at minimum, even at this point. GenoWrite is my full-time business, quite frankly. I started out wanting to freelance on the side and getting a full-time job, but then there was a thing that came up called a non-compete clause. So if I were to work full-time for a company of some sorts, I would have like a non-compete clause where I wouldn't be allowed to find my own clients for some time, or maybe like be really restricted as to which clients I was looking for. And I was warned about this by my mentors when I was starting out. So that from there got me the decision to start my freelance writing business and make it a full-time venture. So I would have full freedom to look for my own clients and to grow my business the way I wanted it to. The biggest advantage of being self-employed or a freelancer, I think, is the freedom. So I have a lot of freedom, and I still have it now, to find my own clients, to choose my hours, to choose when to take my holidays, to choose when to go to conferences. I had all the freedom in the world to do that. And I also got to set my own rates. Like I get to choose my value and make sure that people know it, and then find people who would understand the value I offered in helping them with their marketing through writing. So I think that's the biggest advantage by far, just being able to freely pick which clients I worked with and to decide the direction of my business. I think another advantage of being a freelancer is I get to work from home. I get to work from anywhere I like, just as long as I get the work done. Like it offers a lot of flexibility. That's the key word here, flexibility. You get a lot. You get to pick your hours. You can work during the day, or if you're a night owl, you get to work at night. I'm a more of a morning person, so I just do the typical 9 to 5 for the most part. But if you're a night owl, you could just work from 4 to midnight for all we care. As long as you get the work done, that's all that matters. I think another advantage, though, is you get to meet so many groups of people. You get to meet people from all over the world. I met people over LinkedIn. I got to do it all from the comfort of my home. I also got to choose which conferences I got to go to, like I said before, and I got to meet CEOs, marketing managers, CTOs. I got to meet all kinds of people just by being on LinkedIn and being a social media influencer through LinkedIn, as well as just meeting so many different people at different meetups and conferences. Everything in this life comes with drawbacks as well as the advantages. Like you've got to deal with the less ideal and the great ideal stuff too. So I think the most unideal thing that I had to go through was all the front work I had to do. That basically got me working overtime, just making sure my website was running properly. Like I was up at like 11 at night, just making sure my website was operating as it should, just making sure all the architecture and the coding and the programming for the website from the server I was getting my site hosted in was working properly. So I had to spend a lot of time just making sure everything worked out. I also had to make sure that all my contracts were written up properly. That took quite a bit of time to do. And on top of that, I had to spend a lot of time just sending invoices and making sure that all the administrative stuff was up to snuff. Another disadvantage I would say is when you're in the early going, you're not going to have many clients at first. Unless you have a lot of strong connections, you're going to have to learn to build your own network and to put the work to making sure your company can really take off, or your own freelancing efforts can really take off for that matter. So you, as my mentor would say, like you best better have a savings account lined up, and you best be able to have some sort of like time frame of at least 3 to 6 months where you already have your needs met, and then that'll give you enough time to really set everything up and get your first couple clients to then start making a revenue stream for your business. So I would say those are the two biggest drawbacks, and I would say once you can handle those early going, you'll probably feel a lot more of the benefits afterwards. But oh yeah, there was one other thing you need to keep in mind as well. I wouldn't say it's a drawback per se, but I guess it could be, is you have to learn a lot of stuff yourself. A lot of stuff to run a business, to meet clients, to do the writing assignments. A lot of it takes a lot of self-work. And if you're someone who knows how to learn stuff early quickly and to really figure everything out, that's good for you. I think that would be a big benefit to running a business. But if you're not, you will need some time to learn how to find things out for yourself, whether it be looking online for resources, reading books, or just meeting different sets of people. Like you have to have the drive and the willingness to learn things and from scratch and to really take the time to take the initiative on your work. Hmm. I think the biggest tip I would have is just to list out all the most important things you need to figure out when you start your business. So, having a checklist would really help you here. So, having, let's say, a checklist for invoices, a checklist for finding clients, a checklist for building your LinkedIn profile, for building your resume, all those things. Like, if you integrate all those things in your checklist and you just have different categories for the things you need to do, I think that will help you really organize yourself as you start out. I would also make sure that your admin stuff is sorted out first, the things that really stand you out from everybody else, whether it be how you operate or to how you want to build your relationship with your clients. Like you have, it's up to you to figure out. And I think that should be among the first things you do when you start. If I were to restart my company from scratch, I don't think I would do anything too differently, to be honest. Like I had a big time frame where I was trying to figure out whether to withdraw from the program and start on this business earlier, but I really wanted that degree first just for my own personal achievement. So I think looking back, I think the only thing I would have changed is withdrawing earlier because that would have given me more time to start my business and to really take things off more quickly. But I mean, things happen for a reason as they are now, so I don't really tend to look back like that too much or try not to because I feel that the future I'm in now is often the best one for a reason. And I just go with what I've got now and then work with it as I go along, to be honest. So I believe there's like a reason for why I'm here and the way reason for the way things worked out now. So honestly, I don't think I would have done too much differently aside from withdrawing earlier. Now, before I finish off, I have this one cool anecdote I like to share that just highlights the how great the LinkedIn community is. Because honestly, like as I've worked on my business, like I've come across so many awesome people along the way who have helped me really shape my business and helped me really get my feet on the ground. Like Christina Campbell was my very first mentor. She taught me all the ropes of getting my business off the ground. And I had people like Sebastian Simoncelli who was teaching me how to make great LinkedIn posts and to get my business off the ground, just like get my brand online just kickstarted because I've never done any LinkedIn marketing before, and it's Sebastian just goes up and just gives me some really awesome free advice. I honestly highly recommend talking with him if you're a biotech company and looking for someone to do your LinkedIn marketing and just setting up those strategies. Like he's your guy. Like he really helped me get my LinkedIn marketing off the ground. It's really helped me build my presence on LinkedIn, and it's also helped me find clients because people are just like, oh yeah, oh you have been on LinkedIn working as a writer, huh? Okay, I'll see what you do. Like honestly, that's all because I had a LinkedIn presence, and that was thanks to Sebastian. And I've had so many other awesome people I've come across who I've written about in my biographer series. You can find it at genowrite.com/biographers. Like those are just some of the awesome people I've encountered, and I'm going to keep expanding that list to include all the other awesome people who are doing great things in the biotech sphere. So if you with so many different kinds of expertise, like you could just reach out to them and learn more about what they do and see how they can help you do alongside your journey as a self-employed or freelance writer, whatever it may be. So yeah, so I guess that's it for the interview. Just a quick shout out to myself. I guess I would basically say, like, if you want some writing work on case studies, blog articles, technical and application notes, anything that helps bring your products to light, come to me at GenoWrite.com. And you can also get in touch with me at paul.naphtali@genowrite.com as well. If you want to ask me some questions about being a freelance writer or just what it's like to be self-employed, if you want more questions, just reach out to me there. Or if you're looking for marketing work, you can also reach out to me there too. Also, I'm building my online content at micromusings.ca. This is where I talk a lot about microbiology. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me there and let's see how I can help you with your marketing today.